council meeting of Monday, August the 8th, 2022. I would ask that everyone please stand for our invocation by Pastor Zach Christie of First United Methodist Church, followed by our Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us go to God in prayer. Good and gracious God, we give you so much thanks and praise, Lord, for the gift of this day. And Father, we give you thanks for the gift of the city of Cherryville. Lord, we thank you for all the residents that make up this wonderful community. Father, we thank you for the ways that this community binds together, for the ways that we seek to help one another. Father, we pray for all the leaders here in Cherryville that you would give them wisdom, insight, and discernment. And we pray that as we leave from this place, Lord, that we would bring about your fruits of love, fruits of mercy, fruits of justice. For it is in your holy name and in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ, we do pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. The first item on our agenda tonight is the approval of the agenda as presented. Do I have direction from council on approval of the agenda?
Motion to approve? Second.
Have a motion to approve and a second of the agenda as presented. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? And there is none. Next item is approval of the minutes of A, our City Council regular meeting of June the 12th, 2022. B, our City Council regular work session meeting of June the 28th, 2022. C, our City Council regular meeting of July the 11th, 2022. And D, our City Council regular work session meeting of July the 26th, 2022. What is the pleasure of the council on approval of the minutes as presented?
Make a motion that we approve all four at the same time. City Council regular meeting of June 12th, the work session of June 28th, the regular meeting of July 11th, and the work session of July 26th.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve all four sets of minutes as presented. All in favor of this motion, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? There is none. It is unanimous. Next item is the mayor's comments. At this time, I would like to welcome everyone to tonight's meeting. We appreciate your attendance here, and also to those that are watching via the media, either streaming on your computer or Facebook. I understand we have had some problems in the past with our meetings, with the volume, and with being able to hear it clearly. We have worked on these issues, and to the people who has expressed their concern over this, and Ms. Carpenter, I know you're one, and you're probably watching tonight also, but we have a link on our Facebook tonight that will send you to YouTube, and we're hoping that through the YouTube that we will get rid of a lot of these problems we've had with the sound. But thank you anyway for streaming those that are not here. Now, over the past several weeks, we have had some issues at our water plant because of the recent heavy rains that have made our water unusually dirty at the creek level. We have had to wait several days before pumping this water to the reservoir. This is an example why the interconnects between Lincolnton and Cleveland County are vital for our future growth and water interruptions due to these issues, as well as drought concerns. On Wednesday, July the 27th, council members Jill Pewitt, Gary Freeman, John Abernathy, and I attended the Main Street program kickoff for the coming year. This event was held at 90s, and a cuisine was catered by Iris Hubbard of 133 west of Kings Mountain. After the meal, I was asked to speak to the attendees, and following my comments, there was comments made from all council members present. A banner year is expected for our city's Main Street program. On August the 3rd, I attended a ribbon cutting and open house for the Belt Building on Main Street. A huge crowd was on hand that included County Commissioner Alan Fraley, City Manager Brian Dalton, as well as council members Jill Pewitt, Gary Freeman, and John Abernathy. At this event, I was honored to introduce Mr. Patrick O'Leary, the investor and owner of the newly renovated building. Mr. O'Leary announced that 3 of the 4 apartments on the top level have been rented, and several of the businesses on the lower floor have also been rented as well. This is a great asset to our downtown revitalization and certainly enhancing future growth for our Main Street area as well as our city. This past week, our city received $967,000 in ARPA funding. Now, this is our second round of fund from the American Rescue Plan and will help us financially in completing several of our city projects. The city is currently in the process of accepting bids on the Westgate Park project. Our city is hoping to begin this project in the very near future, and we look for completion sometime in the next year. This concludes the mayor's comments for this evening, and we will now move to tonight's agenda. And the next item is item 7, citizens to be heard. Now, any citizen that would like to speak may do so by coming to the podium, stating your name and address before you speak. Comments will be strictly held to 5 minutes. And we have asked that these people sign up before the meeting, before you speak. So at this time, I would entertain if anyone would like to speak. And I know some of these may be concerns with the next item we have on our agenda. And if you would like to wait and speak when we are in public hearing, that is just fine. Or if you want to go ahead and speak now. I just feel like these 3 that have signed up probably are relevant to the next item we have on our agenda. If I'm wrong, you're welcome to come on to the podium and speak if you wish. So at this time, do I have any citizen that would like to be heard? Okay, if not, we'll move on to item 8, and this is a consideration of a public hearing in regards to rezoning from R40, R15, and R12 to R9, which is cluster development for property located on Reekway Road. I would entertain a motion from council that we go into public hearing at this time.
Make a motion, go into public hearing.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to enter into public hearing. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, it is unanimous. So at this time, we would have our Planning and Zoning Director, Alec Blackburn, who will lead us through the public hearing before we go to citizens' comments.
Thank you, Mayor, council members, city staff, and citizens. So on, May 13th, spoke with Mr. Robert Johnson requesting the potential, or investigating the potential for a possible annexation and the rezoning of 18 parcels of property. I won't bore you all with listing all 18 of them. It's just about 7 numbers each. Out there, of the 18, all of it was already annexed previously, I believe, back in between the 70s and the early 90s. However, there was one small sliver that's probably roughly 1.69 acres and a small square down there at Rickway Road that wasn't annexed. That's on the old Quinn property. However, the total site area is going to be 163 acres on both sides of the creek. We discussed what they wanted to do with it. Potentially, they're requesting the R6 or R9 cluster development. that would be a minimum requirement of 6,000 square feet per lot. As it stands right now, they're proposing 6,600 square feet per lot. Now, that includes 5-foot setbacks on the sides, and I believe minimum lot width is 60 foot. Nope, that's the wrong one. Let me get to the right one. So the R9 is 50-foot width, a 20-foot front setback, a 5-yard side setback, or a 5-foot 5 side yard setback, and a rear yard setback of 25 feet. Now, also in that, they're required to have 33% of the total site coverage to be open space. Now, I've brought in their kind of preliminary drawing is what they propose to do. And as you can see, it's quite an extensive or high density level.
Did you, I'm sorry, but did you say 6,000 or 6,600?
So the minimum lot
Lots.
size allowed in the R9 cluster would be 6,000 square foot. They proposed 6,600 square foot for a total of 504 lots at this time.
Okay. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
And the majority of them will be on the western side of Rickway Road with, I believe, 39 being on the Hidden Valley side. Now, around the western portions, they have a 50-foot buffer around all of that property, as well as the 100-foot floodplain blocked off for no future development. They've got 2 bridges crossing that area, or those areas. And they've also included a kind of clubhouse, pool house area down there at the south. Now, these small blue things are more of the county's purview as far as stormwater control measures. They ensure that every drop of rain that hits this, no matter what happens, how big the rain is, well, pending some, act of God, terrible flooding, all of that rainwater should be captured, sent to these blue spots or retention ponds, and settled, and it will be no more velocity and no more sediment load than what is naturally going through at this time.
Is there a creek or a branch there now?
There is. It goes right, let me get a little bit closer.
Right down through that, yep, green area? Yeah, okay. I got you.
Dry Water Creek on the, Hidden Valley side too, the flood time, we get a creek on that side too.
Okay. And that'd be more for when it goes along, when they, Mr. Miles right here can speak more to that on a second.
Explain to these citizens, out of these 500 homes that you're they're wanting to put there, there's only one way in and one way out. It's on Rickway Road.
Correct.
Single lane road.
Yes, sir, at the moment. However, with a development of this size, they have to go through rigorous traffic impact analysis with the state DOT to see, oh, you're adding this many houses, that's going to generate this many trips per day. This is what the developer will have to do for that roadway as far as, this at this moment. The state will look at it, and they're not going to sit there and say one way or the other prior to anybody confirming, because right now it should be a shot in the dark.
Did they not also say that there could be a traffic problem on that road?
The state DOT?
Not it could be. It's a traffic problem now. We got pedestrians walking.
In speaking with the DOT last Monday with the city manager, we spoke with the head guy at District 12 located in Shelby. He said that just preliminary looking at it, they would have to do an impact analysis for every signaled intersection within a 1-mile radius.
And he did say that potential will be a problem.
They're not going to say more or less that, but they're going to say that they're definitely going to have to do upgrades. They would have to make improvements on that roadway.
We can't get out the road now.
I started to say, there's too many cars to be trying to pick their kids up at the schoolhouse, just like they block the lower end of the school every day. You can't get around the curve. And once they start 500 houses on the upper end of the school,
Okay.
you'll never get out. They'll block the road, just like they block the bottom road now. So what are you gonna do about that?
That's more for the DOT, that's their purview. However, that's neither here nor there. I'm here for y'all.
Make the road block.
Exactly.
And which is what the developer has to do.
Okay, we're gonna have to have order here. If you're signed up and you need to speak, you need to come to the podium and voice instead of talking back and forth among the people that are here. We've got to give Mr. Blackburn a chance to go ahead and explain what he has found out about the property so far.
And so there is several types of soil and sandy loams there that, this is just a preliminary. We're going to allow this, and then the developer goes in, and I'm sure that Mr. Robert Johnson here and Mr. Miles Wright can speak to more to that effect. However, this is more of what they're going to want. If they get this, then they go in and send teams in and see what can they actually do. This is where they go through the period of the traffic impact analysis. They go to see, okay, can we actually put 504 houses here? Maybe there's a hidden boulder under there where it's going to be more cost prohibitive to move it than to just leave it and figure a new way around it. This is just the beginning phase.
And right now, we do have a grave site on there.
Correct.
That's not included in
As far
any of
as-
the property.
No, sir. As far as that, we're not going to annex that. They're going to leave it. It's well within the common open space right here at this corner. Now, if they ever decided to move that, there is a state permit that they'd have to fill out. They'd have to notify next of kin. There's a fairly rigorous process. It can be done, but there's a process to do so.
Okay, I'm not understanding, like with that map, Alex, where is this property? Because I know where the grave site is, that's my family, I've got family buried there. There's the cemetery, so this is on this side of Reedway Road. What is gonna be across the road? Which one? That part over there?
Here's Hidden Valley right here.
Okay,
We've got roughly 39 units
Right.
going in here. And the rest of them will be on the western side. They've got two crossings that across the creek. Now, right now, they have this as an emergency entrance only, with only one main entrance for everybody going in and out.
and that's on down lower. And this comes in where, and then backs up how far?
This goes, I believe, just shy of 200 and some feet from Lee Black Road.
Okay.
I believe they had at one time asked to see if they could purchase some property there to make access to Lee Black Road to have some relief for Rickway. However, property owners were not willing to sell. At least that was my understanding of it.
Okay.
Okay, got you. All right.
Okay.
We can find, they have two entry and exit off Ridgeway Road, but you said something about one of them,
They have marked this one as emergency entrance only.
but would not be against our subdivision regulations
Subdivision regulations require two
Two.
accesses.
that have 99 or more. They have to have that open.
Traffic, yeah. So, at this time, they're asking for our highest density level. North Carolina general statutes do state that we cannot downzone or make anything less dense than what it currently is. Now, as it stands, those three properties are a mixture of R40, R15, and R12, requiring a 12,000 square foot minimum size lot for the R12 units there along the eastern side and both sides of Rickway Road. Just to point out, we could go from R15 cluster, which would allow a 10,000 square foot lot minimum, or the R12, which will allow an 8,000 square foot lot. Those will not be considered an illegal downzoning because we are still allowing a higher density than what is currently allowable. But that's just food for thought at y'all's pleasure. We do have those in the back pocket. They would still require, the R15 is the only real different one. It's got a 70-foot width, 25-foot front setback, 6-foot side yard setback, 25-foot rear yard setback, and all of them would still maintain a 33% green space or open space. To not be developed for houses, they could have amenities such as, a soccer field or a football field, baseball field, a clubhouse, those sort of things, but no further development other than that.
Okay.
And so from setting the public hearing until now, I've sent out 2 mailers, actually 3, one announcing the annexation and one announcing the rezoning request. However, I didn't put the what it would be a rezoning to, where the applicant was requesting, so I sent out a third one highlighting what it currently was zoned and what they're requesting to change it to. Also, there's 4 signs placed on the property, 3 for the rezoning and 1 for the annexation I put there on the Quinn property, and then 3 signs placed, 1 where that emergency entrance would be, 1 right below the Quinn property, and then 1 on the eastern side right there across from the Quinn property, announcing annexations. Also, 2 ads were placed in the Cherryville Eagle for those circulations. To date, I've had several phone calls, several visits from concerned citizens wanting to get more information on it. From everything I've been speaking to people, nobody's against it. They're more concerned about the density and the traffic. However, most people that I've spoken to have stated that they're not against development.
Okay.
And I've included, of course, I have to make a log of everybody I speak to regarding this issue, and I've included that in the council agenda packet as well.
These people that you spoke to that's not against it, do you know where they lived at?
Yes, sir. I've included the addresses here.
Was any of them connected to this property?
Yes, sir.
And they're not against it?
They all spoke that they were not against development. They were just more concerned about the density.
Mr. Blackburn and I specifically spoke to one lady that lived right beside there, and she, after she saw everything, she said she was not against it.
I've had a few even sit there and state that to pass along their information to Mr. Johnson.
I'm curious to see what the traffic impact analysis comes out to be, because that's my problem, is what's this going to do to Reekway Road with the school that close and with only, which is all we require, but still, that's going to put a lot of traffic on that road if they all are built eventually. That's my big concern with that. But
It would, and however, it's on the, there's several ways to go about it once the traffic impact analysis is completed and they determine what they're wanting to do. Either the developer themselves can put it into DOT standards, or they can pay the DOT to do it themselves. Now, I'm not going to sit there and say one way or that this is what they're going to do. I think it would most likely be what they're going to do. However, I'm not going to sit there and try to speak for the DOT. I believe there's probably going to be turn lanes on both sides and a center turn lane as well. I'm not sure. That's as far as I'm willing to venture.
Mhm.
Like I said, I'm not an expert on DOT.
okay. All right, do you have anything else? Or if not, can we open it to the citizens to be heard?
If you so wish, I'll stay
Okay.
close by.
Okay, just stand by for any questions that come up. The first one that signed up to speak is Johnny Johnson. If you'll come to the podium, state your name and address, and as I've said before, our clerk will time this. You'll be held strictly to 5 minutes.
Well, I live there on Rickway. There's not enough road there for the traffic. The yards ain't far enough off the road. Kids, school buses. The bridge at the bottom, we've rebuilt it probably twice in the last few years. Flood washed it out once. Car wreck took it out once. That's on the lower end of Rickway. When that gets took out, then the only way for anybody to get out is up the street. The school where everybody comes by the graveyard and parks waiting to pick their kids up blocks that entire road. And we're already building houses all over town already, and that's fine, growth's fine. But you're compacting too much into one spot, it's gonna wipe us out. Basically, him talking about turning lanes, he's talking about taking our yards. He's talking about putting us closer to the traffic. Rickway is a drag strip all the way down it. Cars fly up and down it. We have kids, everything everywhere. Putting that many more cars and that many more people into the neighborhood is just gonna be a wipeout for all of us. I mean, can we stop it after we done it? No. We have to look now, ahead. Can't look behind us. Looking ahead, anybody that lives on Rickway will tell you that it's no good. The school's gonna be blocked. We have one caution light, one stop sign for 500 more people. That's not just 500 people, that's 500 houses. That's husbands, wives, grandparents, kids, school buses, everything. There's nobody gonna be able to get to work on time for if anything happens. The flood zone, I guess where he's talking about building football fields and soccer fields, is a flood zone. It's flooded since I've lived there twice to complete wipeout. Wiped out the bridge, wiped out everything. Now, you get this many more people in it, and it's just gonna run into just complete lockdown. That's where we'll end up at. The road at the top's a single caution light for 500 more houses. There's wrecks there already. Right now, we have wrecks. The one wreck right there at that caution light is gonna put everybody in trouble. Everybody. You can have a turning lane to pull into your yard or pull into the apartments, but it's not gonna get you out of there. And the only way to get out of there is Rickway up the top. And Malcolm knows, he lives near me. Once it's blocked, car wreck or anything, everybody's gonna be stuck. The sewer line's behind us, the creek's behind us. When the floods come, big rains come, it washes down through there. When we paved the parking lot and the roads for all these houses, the water's gonna run twice as fast down the hill. We don't have a bridge at the bottom. We got a pipe. That's what it is. And when a big rain comes, it floods it. My neighbor at the bottom has a Dodge truck, big Dodge truck. There was that much of it sticking out the top of the water. The rest of it's underwater. So it's not like it's a little flood, it's a complete washout. I don't think the sewer, the water, and all of that will be able to take it. I know traffic won't. I know the school won't. I know our road won't. Our yards are all gonna lose. So all I say is, let's look forwards, not behind us.
Thank you. Next individual that signed up is Reverend Jerry Lale. You have the floor now. Just state your name and address.
I've got my preaching clothes on, so it won't be long-winded. I just have a couple questions for y'all. Is this a done deal?
No.
No, sir.
Okay, thank you.
That's why we have a public hearing.
Good. I just want, I want to address the developers. Is this you? Okay. I probably am more involved with this than any of you. I surround you.
Right.
Did you say they have an access road to Lee Black Road?
No.
Make
Said they
that
did
clear.
not.
We do not. My land is not for sale. You may buy it from my children after I'm gone, but it's not for sale. I've hunted this land for 50-some years. Somebody hasn't done their homework. When it was farmed, there's a certain area of wetland that they couldn't even farm. I have walked through it up to my ankles. I quail hunted down east. They have drainage ditches. They have them there. And also, when I called the Environmental Protection Agency, they said to me, when the first spade is turned, you call me. I'll be there. Have y'all done y'all's homework? Have you? Have you walked the ground?
I have been on the property, sir.
All over it?
I've been down to the creek,
Other side?
and we have evaluated it, and there will be a wetlands assessment.
You better believe it.
And it's based on, what happens in our meeting tonight. The
Right.
property has already been approved for development back in 1999 for about 200 and some houses.
But
And-
that's not you.
No,
That was
and-
Bryant Realty.
Well, I'm involved with them, so what I'll show when I have a turn to speak is what's already been approved and what we're proposing and the difference.
There's a lot of difference between 200 houses and 500
Well,
lots in footage. Like
What's
100
his-
foot by
the lot-
200 foot,
The lot that he's proposing,
yeah.
6,600 square foot.
But tell me the footage.
It has to be, let's see here,
I know an acre is 200 by 210. I do know that. I'm just a dumb old boy.
nobody said, commented on your intelligence, sir. So right now, the minimum width for a lot is 50 foot.
50 foot per lot. Can you believe that? 50
That's
foot
why
per
it's
lot.
called cluster building.
Can I ask you another question?
yes, sir,
How much is the government involved in these cluster homes?
0.
No government backing.
0. What, those houses will sell for $350,000 to $390,000.
But they're gonna go up, straight up. They ain't gonna be big houses. They're gonna be like we're seeing in our town right now, a garage and a living room, maybe a kitchen downstairs and bedrooms upstairs.
They're gonna be almost a $400,000 house.
Yeah, but they're gonna be going up, or you,
Well, they may be two-story, they may be ranch.
they ain't gonna go this way.
Well, they're not obviously going to be very wide.
I think y'all really need to
Yeah.
think about this, guys. Really. I know I talked with the mayor, and correct me if I'm wrong, but there's 2 developments already been approved, but they haven't done anything with them.
That's
Right?
correct.
If you approve another one like this, God, we're gonna lose our identity. Our schools, Cherryville High School gone. They'll have to build a school. And, all these folks that live on Reclay Road, I feel for you. As a state, you can't pass nothing till the state comes and tells these folks how much they're gonna take of their yard. That wouldn't be fair. I think you need to table this thing right now and really get a better perspective on it. I'd appreciate if you would. I'm not here to impede progress.
Okay.
My time's up.
Now, thank you,
Thank
Jerry.
you for letting me have the time.
And the last person that had signed up to speak is Mr. Charles L. Moyer, 102 Hidden Valley Drive.
Hello, I'm Chuck Moyer. I live on 102 Hidden Valley Drive, which is going to be, my property butts up to the back of the development. I live right across the street from Malcolm. And like Jerry, I roam the property around there. Me and my daughters play in the woods out there, have for the past 20 years. My oldest is 20, so we've run the woods for 20 years out there. And I know that the Hidden Valley side, when we get a good rain, there's 3 to 5 foot of water standing there. So, it's not going to be a very easy build there. That's going to be a problem. The road, there's no way that road can handle the traffic. We've already got a drag strip down there. I was passed 4 times on double yellow lines in the past month on that road. So we got that. We've got the kids walking back and forth to the high school. There's a couple that live down towards the end of Reekway. I know the Russian kid down there, I can't think of his name now, but I know he walks back and forth every day. So he's on that road walking, and there's a couple in my neighborhood that walk. So we've got walkers that are pedestrians on that road. You add another, if you put 500 houses in there, you've got the average of 3 cars per house. You're gonna have 1,500 cars you're adding to that road coming out of one entrance. And like he said, if you got a flood down there and the bridge is out, you're coming out one way. You're putting 1,500 cars coming out at the same time. The kids are coming into school. There's no way you're not gonna have a child run over at some point in time. So we need to think about that. And also, there's just too much at stake, I think. We've got too much of a density coming in. 500 houses is a lot of houses to put on 160 acres of land, especially if you're talking about another big green space in there. I mean, you're going to have houses right on top of each other. We're going to have these developments like they did in Ranlow, the economy crashes, and then we're going to have back to where they had, no renters to start with, but as soon as the economy crashed, they had to sell out. The first owners sold out or lost their homes, and then the investment companies come in and buy it, and then you've got developments full of renters. Not that I'm downside down in renters by any means, but when you don't have ownership in a property, you don't take care of the property, and that brings down the value of the rest of the neighborhood, which in turn brings down my property value because now I'm tied into this neighborhood because my property backs up against this neighborhood. And, if they're going to put a development in that butts up to my property in my neighborhood, they should at least have to build on the size lots that our neighborhood that are on. And also, I think they need to look at the environmental study on there because, if I'm not mistaken, there's a salamander on there called the fire salamander that's an endangered species, so you might want to look at that too.
What size is your lot?
Mine's a half-acre lot.
Thank you, Mr. Moyer. Any other citizen that would like to speak at this time?
I'd like to say one more thing. I put up a sign that says "Slug Children Play." Put up my own. Cherryville never did. Down Rickway's a racetrack, and they've known it for years. The fly. I put up my own sign.
I'm just moving on the road this week.
If you'll come to the podium, state your name and address.
My name is Kimberly Costner at 1226 Brickwell Road, and I hadn't even got my keys yet, and I found out about this happening. We moved here 7 years ago. We've been planning, waiting to build, and we're finally here for our family home with our little 4-year-old can run out in the yard, and it is a fast road. So we have a nice buffer to keep from those cars, and where these entrances are, I'm dead stuck in the middle, so I'm not getting out of my driveway ever. 500 houses is a lot for that area. And that's just picking my kid up from high school, because right now I live further out in the country. That's just way too many homes to propose in that little area. I mean, development's good, I understand that, but this is way too much. And these are going to be the stick houses that are going to be built, and like you said, they're not going to have enough people to buy it, to rent it. It's going to sit there. It's going to go to low income. It's going to bring down all of our property in that area. And that's just how I feel about that right now.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Mason Beam of 809 Rakeway Road, and I do believe I have a few other valid concerns. I was speaking with some of the water plant employees, and the ones I know do honestly have concern that with the other developments adding this one onto it and in completion, that the current water plant is not enough to handle it. So that's a whole extra thing the city needs to take into consideration. I heard that from employees there. Not sure what the plan in the background is. But secondarily, I would like to ask that if this does go through, I believe that traffic circles would be much better at controlling the traffic than a lane extension. The problem with this is Harold Sipes' property on the corner at the caution light is too close to the road to build one of these. So that property would have to be bought, and I don't believe that's the thing that he would want to happen. But I actually live right where they put the last speed checker whenever they did that about 2 years back. And I can say people aren't dumb. People didn't speed by that thing. It's a giant board that you can see from a mile away. The traffic was not a true indicator at that time of what actually goes on the road. Everyone that lives there is fully correct. People speed down that road horribly. And we've got teenagers driving there. So, but thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else that would like to speak at this time?
I got one more question. What is our emergency contingency for this? Because, I mean, there's no way our current fire department can handle, and police department can handle another 1,500, 2,000 people living in that area, not to mention over there at House Trapp's old place.
There's a lot of questions to be answered, a lot of questions that aren't answered at this time, but they will all be addressed before any decision is made. Anyone else?
I got one. I'd like to ask Mr. Johnson a question.
Okay.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
Are you going to be the developer, or are you just the mouthpiece for the developer?
I'm the developer.
You're actually going to do it yourself?
Yes, and I have some concepts that we have in here that has been presented to Alex. And the city council deems it fit, I would be more than happy to set them up and answer all the questions. Everything that's been asked in this meeting, we've already thought about it. And if the city council has time for that, I'd be more than happy to do it and answer any questions directly, with the adjoining property owners or concerned citizens.
So this is not anything to do with Meritage?
Yeah, it's Meritage Homes. Meritage Homes is the builder.
Well, that's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
So you're actually not, you're
We're
just a
not building the
mouthpiece for
houses.
them.
The builder is the sixth largest builder in the United States.
Did Bryant, you said Bryant Realty did have part of this.
Yeah.
Actually, y'all didn't buy the land.
We have an agreement with Bryant Realty based on the rezoning to purchase the property. And so we're acting as on our behalf and on their behalf to get it, approved. Now, it's already been approved, and let me speak for this. There's going to be a development there.
Don't mind the development.
And basically what this meeting is addressing is what the land plan is going to be. And I'd like to point out the benefits of what we're proposing. And just remember, this development's not going to happen in a week. It's going to probably be 7 years. So this is not going to be instantaneous. And the DOT is very prudent about traffic control. They're not going to allow anything to happen there that's going to be a detriment to public safety, I can assure you that. And I will say this, no traffic studies are required if you have less than 3,500 cars a day. Now, obviously, this will generate somewhere in that range. The adjoining streets around there, I think Miles can maybe answer this. We've already done a preliminary traffic study. Is in the 400 car per day range.
But it's so narrow.
Well, and as we'll talk about in the previous approval, back in 1999, there's a turning lane that's located on this piece of property that is to be installed. Now, the school traffic, remember, is in the mornings, and the kids are picked up in the afternoons when people are still at work. And then in the state of North Carolina, somewhere about a third of the people moving here are retired. And that's reflected in the demographics in these new subdivisions.
Can I ask you what draws y'all to Cherryville?
Well, the reason is twofold. One is because the land is large enough to attract a builder of Meritage Homes caliber. This is a national builder. This is a public company. They're on the stock market. You can look at their financials. They're rock solid. They build a energy efficient house. They don't build a low-end cheap house. It's a green home. You can do your research on them. I would call them the Toyota house building is the way I describe them. They're not building luxury homes, but they're not building, the entry-level homes that some of you guys have discussed that get, the thing doesn't work out and the houses, get sold to investors.
But two neighbors can reach out if they got long arms and shake hands with each other.
Well, what's happened in modern home design and land planning is you know, a lot of my family, farmed. So I'd love to be in, you know, the middle of 500 acres, and I've got a farm I'm involved with in Illinois, it's 2,000 acres. So I love farming. Huh?
You own a farm?
I'm involved in it.
Yeah, would you want that development around your farm?
Well, here is the thing. Here's the thing, is this is in the city limits, this is not in the county.
Can
And this is not-
y'all rescind that? That land was sold many times, had y'all not annexed it. A cattle farmer or horse farmer would have bought it, settled there and wouldn't sell. And then Bryant Realty come in there and clear cut it, raped it. If you walk down at the bottom, they've got piles of logs and stuff pushed up and ponds formed there when it rained. And they have just literally ruined the land. And they probably cut enough timber off that land to pay for their initial payment. And
Why didn't they replant the trees on it like they're supposed to? They strip property like
because they're gonna build a development.
they already had planned
Or do you curb your streets and everything, you curb them?
On the concept, if we have time, I'd be more than happy to show that it's double streets, the tree line. I mean, I don't know if the city council has.
Okay, we're getting off base here just a little bit at this time. Mr. Johnson has already said he is still in the process of working with our planning and zoning director, Alec Blackburn. So at this time, with so many unanswered questions, I would entertain a motion from this council maybe to continue this public hearing as we did with the Strap Acres property, so we can work out some of these things. But that would be up to council how you would like to handle that.
At this time, I'd like to make a motion to continue this public hearing for the consideration of rezoning these 18 parcels to be reconvened at our next meeting on September 12th, 2022, and that would be held right here at 106 South Jacob Street, starting at 6 o'clock.
I'll second it.
And I got a question before we go out of public hearing with Mr. Johnson, on what his statement was, that there's gonna be a development there, the way he's talking, there's gonna be a development there if we like it or not.
Well, they own the land, so, I mean,
Mr. Malcolm, I didn't mean it that way. I apologize if it came across that way. The city council's already approved that for development back in 1999. It's already been approved by the city council.
Yeah.
So what we're proposing to change the land plan is what we're doing. And of course, that requires a zoning change.
okay,
So I didn't mean that the way that it came across.
Mayor, if I may, just
Yeah.
one more. For the people at home trying to listen, if they don't go to the
Tell
podium,
them
the
to
mic,
hear it.
nobody.
yeah.
Okay, we go.
So, I think you've already had your 5 minutes, I'm sorry. We can't readdress the same.
How long do we think the graveyard will stay there? Once they build these 400,000,
Right.
the Toyota of houses, how
Uh-huh.
long's the graveyard gonna stay?
Okay.
Let's dig up keys.
And as I've said, we have a motion and a second on the floor at this time. So point of order is that we now open it for any other discussion. If not, then I ask that you read that motion again for us, Councilmember Abernathy.
So I make a motion to continue this public hearing on these 18 properties at our next meeting, September 12th, 2022, held right here in these chambers at 6 o'clock.
106 South Jacob
Yep.
Street, okay? Have I think 2 seconds to that motion, so all in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
It is unanimous. Those opposed, there is none. Okay, so this will be continued, so we will not exit public hearing at this time.
Can I ask one more question? Robert, can you bring us detailed information too, to the work session? With the maps that we can look and review?
If Alex will, you guys want to get a series of questions together, and we'd be more than happy to provide anything that you would like.
Be August 30th.
Yeah.
at 5:30 at the fire department. August 30th at 5:30 at the Cherryville Fire Department.
And I'm sorry.
That would be our work session.
Session.
Okay, would you like me to attend that?
Yes.
Yes,
And I'm sorry, I got somebody to August 30th,
yes, sir.
at what time? I apologize.
5:30.
Okay, okay.
I apologize, I will be in Milwaukee then, but I will communicate some questions with these.
Okay. If that date changes, we will certainly notify you of the change, if any, because I think we have several conflicts with that date. So it may be on a Monday, or it may be,
Tuesday, maybe.
well, that is Tuesday, it may be Wednesday. We'll just wait. We'll notify you and let you know exactly when the work session will be scheduled.
Okay.
Okay, we now will go on to our next item. That's item number 9, which is consideration of public hearing, and this is in reference to annexation for the 2 parcels and a portion of another parcel, and that also involves this same land that we're talking about off of Reekway Road, known as Cherryville. And we have our zoning and director, Alec Blackburn, who will lead us through that. That's pages 62 through 64 in your agenda packets.
Thank you, Mayor. So, use pretty much the same information for the rezoning as this one, since it's all tied in, or can be tied in. So, I'll go up here and show all of y'all. The 2 parcels in question are this section here, would be this plot and this access point here. It's roughly 1.013 acres, and it's part of, this is one initial parcel, and then it connects into here, it bleeds back in. Why it was never annexed in the past, I guess that's the property owners just didn't build like that at the time. But it's a complete donut hole, just completely surrounded by the city of Cherryville.
Okay, you want to show to the other council members?
Be this section right here, this roadway access, and this section right here, square.
That's on the right side of Reekway going from city.
If here's Robinson, here would be Hidden Valley, so if you're leaving the city of Cherryville, it would be on the left-hand side. The second parcel is this little corner right here, and it makes, it's 1.69, so there's a total of 2.47 acres.
Right.
Are being requested to be annexed, and they submitted that application at the same time as the rezoning.
Okay.
So, at the previous council meeting, 2 council meetings ago, you instructed Paige Green, our city clerk, to investigate the sufficiency of that. She brought back the finding that it was all sufficient, everything was contiguous, it was owned by who it said it was owned by, and this property could be legally annexed through voluntary contiguous property.
And for council members, that's on page 62 under findings and conclusions. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So at this point, these 2 properties, they're in our ETJ. We can dictate that what goes there, as far as where they can put a house, if they seek to put a house on it. However, I can't tell them to go out there and cut their grass. They abide by our zoning jurisdiction. However, they're not to be held to our code of ordinances. The county can, but they're not required to, so it kind of makes a little stalemate there. They're requesting to be annexed into, to be included into the Cherryville subdivision. So, without it, the city isn't required to provide water, sewer, and everything else, or if they do, it'd be at an outside rate. So to keep continuity throughout the development and keep people from asking why everybody around them pays a rate and then they pay more for outside rates, they're seeking to annex.
Did this go in front of our zoning board?
Correct, it did, yes, sir.
What did they?
They made the recommendation for annexation.
Make it all the same.
Okay. Well, Mine's jumped on me. Okay.
I don't know what page you're on.
That's on 64, I believe. Let's go. So this said go before the Planning and Zoning Board, and they recommended that we do accept the annexation.
Correct, yes, sir. And since our previous meeting, I have placed a sign on the Quinn family property. Because it is on the roadway, I felt like if I trudged back to the other 1.69 acre, nobody's ever going to see it because it's so far off the road. And the general statute doesn't require that one to be signed. And I did place 2 ads in the Cherryville Eagle and included a letter of public notice in the others for the rezoning as well. So everybody that got a rezoning letter received a annexation letter.
Did we get a finding of facts from the zoning board?
No, sir, that it's not required for an annexation.
Okay. All right, so it does meet with their approval.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And barring what happens tonight, or if it's continued as well, we will send a letter to the Hughes Pond Fire Department since they have jurisdiction over that outside the triangle parcel that I showed y'all earlier. And we will assume a certain amount of debt that was that they had set aside for that property towards their debt at the time of the petition. So on, I believe it is May 31st, when you submit the final or the complete application. So they'll have to go in their records and see how much that 1.69 acre parcel of woods would have generated towards their fire department. And they would have, I believe, 45 days to respond back.
Okay. Right. Okay. Well, first of all, we need to be in public hearing to discuss this any further, so
I'll make a motion.
we don't exit the other.
The other one stays open, and now we got to open a new one.
We did get a clarification
Yes.
from our city attorney on that.
Okay.
So we don't close the other one, it's still
Still open.
open for reconsideration. That way you don't have to notify everybody
Correct.
again.
Yes, sir.
And that will be at our next council meeting. But at this time, do I have a motion that we enter public hearing for the annexation?
Make the motion.
Second.
Okay, all in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, now I'm sorry. You can.
I've said everything I need
You've
to
said
say at this
everything.
point, unless y'all have
But we
any
do
further
need to
questions.
open it to any citizen that would like to be heard at this time in regards to the public hearing for annexation of the 2 properties and partial property that our planning and zoning director has just discussed. Does anyone need to speak in public hearing on that? If so, now's your chance. This is just for the city to annex these properties, not to rezone them or anything else, just for annexation. Okay, if we don't have any citizens, do I have a motion that we close that public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
What do you, would we want to close it, or would you want to,
We're closing just to
Consider-
do this.
This is just on the annexation, not on the property zoning in any matter. It's just, do we want to take them into the city limits?
There's 2 little parcels that are surrounded.
Okay. Do I have a motion that we annex these properties as presented?
Make a motion that we annex these properties as presented.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion in the second that we annex these 2 properties. Was there something? Okay. All right, all in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, there is none. Okay. We'll move on, and that will be to item 11, and this is, I'm sorry, no, item 10 is the consideration to set a date for a public hearing, and this is in reference to rezoning from B3 to R9. This is located at 1407 East Main Street. And our planning and zoning director, Alec Blackburn, for clarification, would you tell where this property is?
Yes, sir. For most of y'all who are familiar with it, the city pool, it's directly across the streets between the automotive shop and Neha's Ice Cream Parlor. It's the old Papa John's building. They're requesting a rezoning from the current B3 to that of the R9. He submitted a complete application on June 30th, then on July 15th, he made a payment for it. He went before the Cherryville Planning Board, and they made the recommendation of denial. At this point, I'm just coming forward to request a public hearing be set for September 12th.
Okay, do I entertain a motion from council to set this public hearing for September the 12th at our next regular council meeting?
Make a motion, we set a public hearing.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to set a date of September the 12th for the public hearing for rezoning of this parcel as presented by our planning and zoning director, Alec Blackburn. All in favor of this motion, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, there is none. Now we will move to item 11, which is consideration to set a public hearing, and this is for rezoning from B1 to R0, which is 109 South Jacob Street. And again, our planning and zoning director, Alec Blackburn, will lead us through that. That's pages 75 through 89 in your agenda packets. And if you'll clarify exactly where that is on South Jacob Street.
The old Terminex building, that would be it. I believe it was built back in 1920 as a single-family residential home. Over the years, it has been many things. It's been a storage, it's been an antique, and it's been a Terminex building. Right now, it is located in the B1 zoning district, our central business district, abutting up to Main Street, which does not allow for single-family residential structures to be built or occupied. So since it's going to be a change of use to a use that is not listed, so therefore not allowable in that zoning district, I've spoken with the property owners. They have submitted a full application and paid for it for the zoning change. They're seeking the RO, so that it would still be allowed to be either a residential structure or a business structure. So it's the best of both worlds. It's abutted on three sides by RO zoning district, so it wouldn't be anything out of the question to make that request. At this time, the planning board did hear this case for consideration, and they unanimously recommended for the approval of this. But as of yet, I'm currently asking for a public hearing to be set at the September 12th meeting as well.
All right, thank you. Do I entertain a motion that we set this public hearing for September the 12th?
Make a motion, we set a public hearing.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to set the public hearing in regards to rezoning this parcel also as presented. That was the old Hallmark shop at one time too, I think. Okay.
Right behind us here.
Okay, all in favor of this motion, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, it is unanimous. Okay, we'll move to item 12, and our city manager has something he would like to bring up on our Westgate Park, an update on that.
Mayor, council, last week bids were due to be turned in for Westgate Park. We did receive one bid. I have another contractor that has reached out and said he is still working on his bid, and hopefully we'll have it in 1 week's.
Okay. That's good, okay. We'll move on then to item 13, other business, and I think our city manager has something under other business.
Yes, sir. We have the official plat, and if you will, look back at your emails from the July 22nd work session. It was mistakenly left out of your agenda packet, but it is the final plat for J.C. Dellinger Road. And it's the 13 houses, if you remember the one we talked about, for J.C. Dellinger with the 50-foot right-of-way, and then I think it's 6 acres at the back.
I believe so. I believe it's 6.3 acres in the back. Now, there's 3 reasons why one of these would come before the planning board and the city council. Those would be, 1, we've had a street right-of-way dedication. 2, the extension of utilities. And 3, that the owner has legal ownership or access to a larger tract of property surrounding it. Mr. Johnson met 2 of those 3. So he has since submitted 13 units with a 6.3 acre property in the back that he is not wanting to do anything with. It's just labeled for future development. So everything that he has provided with Mr. Miles right here, they have provided everything checks out as far as it goes with our zoning ordinance as well as our subdivision ordinance. So they just had to go through this process to seek y'all's approval as well.
Okay.
And that's on page 27 if you wanted to look at that plan.
I can pass around my small thing, but.
Yeah, on the work session.
Yeah, yep.
Okay.
He's got it right here, pretty sure.
Okay.
722.
Okay.
Those are pretty good sized lots.
722.
There are
722.
So 12,000 square
Page
foot.
27.
Okay.
And this is the buffer zone behind.
That's just the empty field, and so we've got a
Okay.
50-foot right-of-way here so that in the future, that abides by our subdivision.
Now, that
standards.
meets-
If they, for future development, they wouldn't have to go through variances or take somebody else's yard. That's
Okay.
already gonna be
Now,
dedicated.
right here's the 50-foot variance that,
Okay,
which is required by our subdivision.
all right. Right there it is.
Mhm. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so I would entertain that city council make a motion to accept this.
Make a motion to approve it as presented. Second.
Okay, have a motion to approve as presented and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
It is, all those opposed, it is unanimous, okay? Any other business to come before council tonight? Anything from council at this time?
Have anything?
Anything from staff?
No, sir.
Nothing from staff?
I will be out of town on the 30th as well
That
for
is,
our work session.
we're gonna have two council members that cannot make our work session on August the 30th, so we're gonna have to look for a compromise for a date.
Oh,
I will be back on that Wednesdays, but I don't know what time we'll be back in town, so.
I'm flying in, but my flight doesn't leave on the 31st. I'll be back here on the 1st.
So I'll be gone.
Okay.
I'll be gone 1st of September.
Dang, we're not looking good.
Well, we can always move it back to
I was gonna say,
the
Can we-
23rd,
Can we do that?
August 23rd. Does anybody have
Do
a,
it the week before.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's the
Can we do
Tuesday
that?
I can do
before?
that.
Okay,
Robert, can you do the 23rd?
Absolutely, yes.
August 23rd.
Let's shoot for that one, because I don't.
Okay,
fly
that'll
out
be
till the
sooner than
26th.
later.
Is that a Tuesday?
Yes, that is a Tuesday.
I might have-
Okay,
I had a problem like I had before. I have a class that
Okay,
goes till,
so we'll need to
6
move it
o'clock.
to 6.
yeah,
Okay.
Okay, and it will be at 6 o'clock instead of 5:30.
Mayor, we make a motion?
yeah, we'll need a motion.
Yeah.
to vote.
Okay.
I make a
I'm just
motion.
getting a consensus right now that
Okay.
everybody's good with it. Okay, will you put that in the form of a motion that we, our work session be changed to August 23rd at the fire department at 6 PM?
I make a motion that we hold our work session on August 23rd at 6 o'clock at the Cherryville Fire Department.
Second.
Okay, have a motion and a second that we will change our work session to August 23rd, 6 PM at the fire department. All in favor of this motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? It is unanimous, okay? At this time, do I have a motion from council for adjournment?
Make a motion.
Second.
Have a motion and a second for adjournment. All in favor, say aye. Aye. It is unanimous. We are